Mark chapter 2 to chapter 3 verse 6 describes this collision course between Jesus and the powers that be. And it's really interesting because grace always challenges legalism. And authority, the authority of Jesus, the authority of the one in the kingdom, always challenges power games and the control mechanisms of those outside of the worldly kingdom, the kingdom of darkness. And compassion always challenges religion. Always. So I want to rethink chapter 3 verse 1 to 6. This is the sequence where Jesus is in the synagogue on the Sabbath, and there's a man with a shriveled hand, and they look to see if he's going to heal this man so they can get fuel for their ammunition against him. They, being the religious leaders or Pharisees, scribes, they. So here's the point. If you are the centre of your life, then anyone else, no matter how needy they are, is going to end up of secondary importance. Is that fair? If you are number one, then everybody else has to take their turn. And we even say that, don't we? Say, look out for number one, or I did it my way. We have all these cliches. Be true to yourself. Express yourself. If it feels good, do it. I've got to be me. And these cliches are ingrained into our culture, into our way of thinking and our way of acting. If you are number one, everybody else takes their turn. Only the strong survives. Dog eat dog. It's a kind of value system that we live in. And Jesus taught differently. And this chapter 3 verse 1 to 6 is a seriously uncomfortable story. Because Sabbath is God's gift of rest. Sabbath is God's call to worship as part of life. Sabbath is God's outstretched summons to intimacy. The very breath of God's love for us. And in the name of serving him correctly, these guys were ready to use a crippled man. They have an agenda. They miss the whole point so completely because they have this agenda. And even serving Sabbath has second place to catching Jesus out in a fault, in a religious error. I mean, come on. The religious leaders, they walk into a place of worship and there's a fellow worshipper there with a need. Wouldn't it be a natural conclusion to think that meeting that need would be a priority, or at least would have its place? At least it could be even part of the way that you worship God. Come on. Or at least part of why we're here at all. And it seems apparent that the religious leaders assumed that Jesus could and probably would heal this guy. So why did they object, really? I mean, even the claim that to heal somebody was work isn't strictly true, because they have this thing about acts of necessity and acts of mercy. Come on. And okay, it wasn't normal Sabbath behaviour, but legalism always creates loopholes, ways of finding your way around the meaning of the law. Legalism creates Pharisees, creates fault finders, accusatory fingers, and grace generates love and acceptance. But the guy with the shriveled hand, standing there haplessly, wanting, he's just a pawn. He doesn't even come onto their radar. He's just a pawn in the let's checkmate Jesus game. Let's catch him out. And God's will wasn't in their radar either. What were they trying to achieve? They were just trying to catch him out, trying to make him look bad in public. They were trying to best him, trying to take control, put him in his place, and undergird their own authority in the process. They want to preen themselves for their superior knowledge and wisdom and respectability and their maintenance of the status quo, the way things are always done. They were looking out for that particular number one. And Jesus challenges this phony power game, as he always does, and he punctures the pomp. Anytime somebody really wants to be self-important, they have to come to terms with Jesus himself. He looks at their self-centeredness and he reveals it. And he exposes something really worse, their contempt for humanity in the name of serving the God of humanity. And every step of the way, Jesus is showing what loving me and loving you looks like. And he was giving me and the guy with the hand permission to be free. He was breaking chains. He was establishing the kingdom. He was breaking the chains of religion, the chains of oppression and criticism and hypocrisy, sickness. And he was giving that man dignity, the right to stand whole and himself again. Just like he said to the leper, go show yourself to the priest. Now he took the man, he put him in the middle, he's saying, now show yourself to the people. And he was there pardoning sin. To serve and to bless other people is at the core of the way that you love God. If you cannot love the person next to you, you cannot love God. They're rooted together. James says in chapter 2 of James, what good is it, my brothers, if a man claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save him? Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes and daily food, and you say, God bless you, I wish you well, keep warm and fed. But he does nothing about his physical needs. What good is it? In the same way, faith itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. That's what James said. It's the same, isn't it? This isn't religion we're talking about. This is life. Use what you have to serve one another. All our life has to be rooted in a Jesus-shaped spirituality. Amen? Do you hear it? Let's live that way. God bless.